My husband's laughter always cuts deeper than the knife he uses to carve the Sunday roast. By the time dessert arrives, I'm the punchline, and his family's chuckles are the salt in the wound. Clara sat at the dining table, her hands folded tightly in her lap, the clink of silverware against plates filling the silence she wished she could hide in. It was her 35th birthday, a milestone she dreaded not for the number, but for the spotlight it cast. The room buzzed with the familiar faces of her husband, Tom's family, his boisterous mother, his sly sister, and his cousins who never missed a chance to lean into his humor. Tom, with his easy grin and quick wit, held court as always, his voice carrying over the chatter like a ringmaster commanding the circus. "Clara, love, tell them about the time you tried to fix the toaster?" Tom said, his eyes twinkling with mischief as he leaned back in his chair. The table erupted in laughter before she could even open her mouth. She forced a smile, her cheeks burning, knowing the story wasn't about the toaster but about her, always her. The time she tripped at the company picnic, the time she mispronounced quinoa at a dinner party, the time she accidentally dyed her hair green before their wedding. Tom had a knack for turning her missteps into anecdotes, each one polished to a sheen for his audience. She'd begged him to stop. Last night, in the quiet of their bedroom, she'd laid it bare. "Tom, it's my birthday tomorrow. Please, no jokes at my expense. Just for one day." He'd looked at her, his face softening, and sworn on his heart, "I promise, Clara, it's your day." She'd believed him, or at least wanted to. Now, as the candles flickered on the cake his mother had baked, Clara felt the weight of that promise. She glanced at her best friend, Mia, seated across the table. Mia's dark eyes met hers, sharp and knowing, her lips pressed into a thin line. Mia had always seen through Tom's charm, had warned Clara years ago that his humor wasn't as harmless as it seemed. "He builds himself up by knocking you down," Mia had said once, her voice low and fierce. Clara had brushed it off then. But tonight, with every laugh that echoed, Mia's words felt like a prophecy. The dinner progressed, and Tom kept his word at first. He toasted to Clara's beauty, her kindness, her strength. The family raised their glasses, and for a moment, Clara felt like the queen of her own story. But as the wine flowed and the conversation loosened, she saw the shift in Tom's posture, the glint in his eye that signaled a story was coming. Her stomach twisted. "So, Clara," Tom began, his voice loud enough to pull every head toward him. "Remember when you thought you could outsmart the GPS on our road trip?" The table leaned in, already giggling. Clara's heart sank. It was the story of their trip to the mountains, when she'd insisted on a shortcut that led them to a dead-end dirt road. Their car stuck in mud for hours. She'd been mortified then, but Tom had laughed it off, promising it was their little adventure. Now, it was fodder for his family's entertainment. "Tom," she said softly, her voice barely audible over the laughter. He didn't hear her or chose not to. He launched into the tale, exaggerating her panic, mimicking her voice in a high-pitched whine. The family roared, his sister slapping the table, his mother wiping tears of mirth. Clara stared at her plate, her fork trembling in her hand. The promise he'd made last night felt like a cruel joke itself. Mia's chair scraped against the floor. "Enough," she said, her voice cutting through the noise like a blade. The table fell silent, all eyes on her. Mia stood, her petite frame radiating a fury that seemed to fill the room. "Tom, you swore you wouldn't do this. You swore to her." Tom's smile faltered, but he recovered quickly, leaning back with a chuckle. "Oh, come on, Mia. It's just a bit of fun. Clara's fine with it, aren't you?" "Love." He reached for Clara's hand, but she pulled away, her eyes fixed on the tablecloth. Fun. Mia's voice was low. "Dangerous. You think humiliating your wife in front of everyone is fun? You think making her the butt of your jokes, night after night, is love?" The room was a vacuum, the air sucked out by Mia's words. Tom's mother shifted uncomfortably. His sister's smirk faded, and the cousins exchanged uneasy glances. Clara felt her throat tighten, her vision blurring. She wanted to speak, to defend herself, but the words wouldn't come. Mia wasn't done. Clara deserves better than this. She's not your prop. Tom, she's your wife. And if you can't see how much you're hurting her, then you don't deserve her at all. Tom's face reddened, his jaw clenching. Mia, this is none of your business. Stay out of it. It's my business when I see my best friend shrinking every time you open your mouth. Mia shot back. She turned to Clara, her expression softening. Clara, you don't have to sit here and take this. You're stronger than this. Clara's eyes met Mia's, and something inside her snapped. Not in anger, but in clarity. She stood, her chair wobbling behind her. Mia's right, she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. I'm done being your punchline. Tom, I've asked you to stop, and you didn't. You broke your promise. Tom blinked, caught off guard. Clara, come on, it's not like that. I was just… No, she interrupted, her voice rising. It's exactly like that. You make me feel small so you can feel big, and I'm done letting you. The room was silent, the weight of her words settling like dust. Tom's family stared, some with shock, others with guilt. His mother reached out, her voice hesitant. Clara, good dear, we didn't mean. But you laughed, Clara said, her gaze sweeping the table. You all laughed, every time, and not one of you stopped to ask if I was okay. She turned to Mia, who gave her a small, encouraging nod. Clara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of years lift, if only slightly. I'm going to stay with Mia tonight, she said, looking at Tom. I need space to figure out what I deserve. Tom's mouth opened, but no words came. Clara didn't wait for them. She grabbed her purse, and with Mia by her side, she walked out of the house, the sound of her own heartbeat louder than the stunned silence she left behind. The next few weeks were a blur. Clara stayed with Mia, sleeping on her couch, surrounded by the quiet support of her friend. They talked late into the night, unpacking years of Clara's doubts, her fears, her love for Tom that had once felt so certain. Mia didn't push, didn't judge, but her presence was a lifeline. Tom called, texted, even showed up at Mia's door once, his face drawn and apologetic. I didn't realize. He said, his voice breaking, I thought it was just jokes. I never meant to hurt you. Clara listened, her heart aching, but she didn't let him in. You didn't listen to me, she said. You didn't see me, and I need to see myself before I can decide if there's an us. She started therapy, a step she'd avoided for years, fearing it meant she was weak. But in those sessions, she found her voice again. She learned to name the pain, to trace its roots not just in Tom's jokes, but in her own silence, her own willingness to shrink to keep the peace. She began writing, pouring her thoughts into a journal, each word a brick in the foundation of her rebuilding self. Tom tried to change. He attended a session with her therapist, his hands fidgeting as he admitted his need for approval, how his family's laughter had been his currency since childhood. I didn't know how to be funny without putting someone else down, he said, his eyes wet. I didn't know it was costing you so much. Clara heard him, but trust was a fragile thing, and hers was cracked. She didn't know if she could rebuild it. Not yet. She needed time, and for the first time, she wasn't afraid to demand it. Months later, at a small cafe, Clara sat across from Mia, her laughter genuine for the first time in years. She'd started a new job, one where her ideas were valued, her voice heard. She was still figuring out her path with Tom, whether to rebuild or let go, but she knew one thing: she'd never be anyone's punchline again. Mia raised her coffee mug in a toast. To you, she said, to the woman who stood up. Clara smiled, clinking her mug against Mia's. To us, she said, to the ones who see us. What do you think? Was Clara right to walk away? Or should she have given Tom another chance sooner? Is it fair to hold a family accountable for laughter? Or is the fault solely Tom's? Share your thoughts on where justice lies in this tangled web of love, loyalty, and self-respect.